you've successfully practiced poetry this many years. If you were to advise the the upcoming writers, the young writers on poetry crafts, what would be your best advice to them?
Well, the thing is, first, and that's the only thing I might say, first is take your mind off the prizes. Don't write because you want prizes. Prizes should come, and they come, they will inspire you. But don't start by having them in as your target. Have your environment, have your thinking, have your thoughts in mind. And then second, you must read other poets, other writers. You must read widely, and you must be conscious of what goes on. Like if you read some of the lines here, there are things about our society, cards, things that happen. You bring them into the poetry, So you must be an integral part of your environment. You must read other writers and other writings, and then you must write because of the joy, the fact that you are expressing something. In the process, then you must be patient. Your language, you edit afterwards. When writing, don't bother much about the language, but later you return and edit. Yes.
Yes, Bob. So we now have the Joe Share Poetry Prize. How does that make you feel? And what do you have to say about the existence of the prize?
Well, thank you first for bringing that up. First, I thank so much everybody who has been involved with that prize, because I really, sometimes I doubt that I deserve that kind of honor. I still feel that I'm being given more than I deserve, because there are people who have done greater things, but then I can't be the judge in my own matters. The young men, Planeyo Johnson, you are involved, Mabo, Emmanuel, Seller, there are quite a whole lot of them who got together and put this up. I was surprised because they did it without my knowledge for a long while, a very long time. The day I got to know, I received a call from Planeyo Johnson, and he said, "Sir, after this, kindly look at my WhatsApp page." And I saw the price was already there. He said, "I only called you to give information about you so that you put in the web page, what do you call it?" I was surprised. He said, "We knew if we asked you, you would tell us, don't bother." So we decided to go without you, and it has come. I'm very, very happy, very grateful to them, grateful to my university, because they've been quite supportive. The first outing was this year, and the university was there for me. Actually, these things have a way of mutually assisting. The prize advertises the institution helps the prize. It's a question of the kind of proverb I have found in the students' assignments I gave you. The hand washes the mortar, and the mortar also washes the hand. So it's something I am so happy with. I'm so grateful to all of you. Matthias Oro, those judges, I'm not sure, I've not named all of them. Asha Jeffers, yes, they are all here. They contributors, and of course, my teacher, because anyone in that generation is my teacher, Emeritus Professor Femi Oshofisor, who within a very short time, I approached him and he wrote the foreword, beautiful foreword. The former VC of UNIU, he approved things that made that event possible. I thank them. I thank the university as an entity. I can't name everybody. The department, music, every work directorate, everybody cooperated. It's our thing. It's not just me. I wish that the prize will achieve its main goal. The main goal is not about me. I am so conscious of my mortality that I don't hang whatever comes around me, happens to me or happens for me on too much. But the main thing is, how does it impact on the younger ones? How does it help them to understand that, for example, there can be other ways to immortality than through being a PA to a PA to a PA to a PA to a politician or an office holder? That there are other options that people can follow and still be great. If the younger ones can be impacted, if Joseph Michel from a small village in the hills of Bameko, former part of former Obudu, can become head just because of this kind of thing, let my child from Ibiakun Togopo also follow the example and become a great writer, or from any of the rural villages, or from just anywhere. Let them come up and know that there's hope for them too. If this prize can have that impact, I will be fulfilled.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof. It's been a long day, and I know that we've not exhausted all the questions we needed to ask Prof. But we'll bring him back to Planeyo Book Circle some other time so that we can have more discussions on his life and works. Whenever we listen to Professor Shea, we learn many things, and today it has been the same. I have learned a lot myself, but I still hunger for more because I have more questions, but we don't have time. That's why he's coming back very soon. So, Prof, what would be your final words to the audience before you talk to them?
Well. My final word, first of all, is to thank you for your effort, your initiative. It's a very great one. I pray it should grow. I should pray it should have the kind of impact that the vision had when you conceptualize it. And people should come in, patronize you in whichever way they can. Some of us don't have all that you need. If you want 1 trillion words, I can give you. But if you want 1,000 naira, you will see me sneaking out like a criminal. But those who have the means will come around and support you, so that this becomes our thing collectively. And that's one. Then two is that in spite of whatever is happening, all hope is not lost, even for the country. The country, in fact, like all living things, there's what we call molting. Human beings are like reptiles. Reptiles molt. Molting means the old skin disappears and the new one comes up, and the animal looks new. So Nigeria is, I would think, instead of feeling that the country is disappearing, I think we are undergoing a molting process. When the old skin wears off, the new one will come. So let us have hope that let's not lose hope on the nation. And in Akwa Ibom State, for example, in particular, Akwa Ibom State is endowed in all ways. Let the resources be geared more towards the development of the human resources of the state. There are several universities now here, and we thank our political brothers and sisters who have made this possible. But let the funding be commensurate. Let the funding come. State institutions, federal institutions here, let them be properly funded. Because at the end, Those are the institutions that will produce the people that will determine the future of this state, just as the future of Nigeria will be determined by the quality of university or the quality of people that we produce from our educational institutions. These are all the, and of course, people, young ones. I have done a whole lot of mentoring. We have people who can write if they are supported. Let the rich ones support these ones. We talk today of Marx and Engels. I with respect to the memories of Frederick Engels, what gave him the prominence is not so much his brain, it is so much his pocket. He was from a rich family. He loved learning. Karl Marx was so poor that almost always his children were afflicted by kwashiorkor. And occasionally, from time to time, Frederick Engels had to send support for food, for medicine to Karl Marx. And then in return, Karl Marx had to give him a ride on his intellect so that he shared certain things with him, carried him along in some of his publications. And so today we talk of Marx and Engels. Meanwhile, the man who did much, if not all of the thinking, was Karl Marx. The man who supported Karl Marx to their life, he and the children, was Frederick Engels. So you see, today no one remembers that Frederick Engels was rich, but he has remained immortal because the support he gave a man of intellect has helped him to survive, even when he is himself physically gone. So let us learn from this and support and patronize the brilliant ones, the young ones among us. It is in their work, their output, that many of us who are so rich today will achieve immortality, and not through our high-rise buildings, that will go with the wind.
Wow, that's wisdom.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for
So,
coming on Planeyo
thanks
Book
for
Cycle.
having me. Yeah.
Yes, Paul. So we hope to see you some other time
Okay.
in the program.
Okay.
Have a very good day.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so very much for staying on till this time. I must commend those who have been watching online, especially Amaka Dike, who has been watching us right from the beginning, and she has left some interesting comments, some great comments. Says very educated, well done, Prof. Then we have Tony Apparel. Tony Apparel says super cool. Then Makadike says, that's my former HOD, Prof. Joe Shea. I miss you, sir. Thank you so much, Prof. We'll appreciate your comments. And we have really gone a long way today on Planeyo Book Circle, and we don't have much to do except to talk to Ridwan Adedeji, who is waiting to conclude this review of his review of Afro Rococo, and once we do that, we are ready to go. I think we might just take 5 minutes or so to talk to Ridwan Adedeji. It's been a very long one today, and we thank God for the success so far. So far, we've spoken to Kehinde Folorunsho. We've spoken to Kehinde Folorunsho reviewed Eyo Items Afro Rococo, and we had some interesting discussions, even though the discussion was interrupted again and again, either by calls or by call to duty in the office, because even as we were talking, we were printing a work. We were printing a book in the office, so we are sorry about all of that interruption. And we also talked to Ridwan Adedeji. Ridwan Adedeji reviewed the items Afro Rococo, and then we talked to Professor Joseph Oshe, who shared his life and works with us, and we learned some interesting things about Nigeria and poetry, and ASU and everything, lecturers' conditions in Nigeria. And now I just want to conclude my discussion with Ridwan Adedeji, and then we can call it a day on Planeyo Book Circle 9th edition. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ridwan, for staying on. We are sorry that we had to interrupt our discussion in order to talk to the eminent Professor Joseph Oshe, who was time constrained at that moment. Yes, insightful review there, spontaneous and wonderful. Let's talk about some of the issues that came up during the review. You actually covered the collection in terms of the segmentation of the poems into themes. I think you covered everything. I don't really have much to add, but then I have to read a poem or two, and then we talk about it. In this collection, there's some very short poems, right? Which you called epigrammatic, right? And of course, epigrammatic poems are epigrams, right? They are short and they are witty. And in your review, you said that it is necessary to write this kind of poetry today because of attention span, right? And yes, but I also need to say that also fits into the Rococo poetry style itself. The poems might be short, but because they are witty, we can discuss each of them for a long time, and then for many pages, because they are tests, what they say. And I would like to read some of them, and then have us talk about them. There's one that is just 3 lines here on page 104. It says, "The fruits are ripe, the pluckers have come with their stones." Did you see that poem? What do you think of it? Page 104, if that's what you have there. The fruits
are ripe, the pluckers have come with their stones.
How does the meaning hit you? How does the meaning hit you? Or how does the meaning come to you? When you encounter the poem.
So the line, they are that merely looking at them, they are suffused with the meaning. They are suffused with meaning. So it now depends on the angle one wants to look at it from. So the fruits are ripe, the pluckers have come with their stones. Well, we can just look at it from the political angle. Yeah, we can choose to see it as an election period when politicians come around and all that. So we can choose to see it as a national cake being shared by politicians. So there are a lot of angles. It is actually dependent on where one is trying to look at it from. So it's without any context, the fruits are ripe. The pluckers have come with their stones. You will probably be writing 2, 3, 4, 5 pages on just these three lines.
Yeah, definitely. And another one on the short ones, page 107. If you are there, it says, "A child who cries for help at the market square must know that ghosts also buy and sell. Now, I would like you to look at the meaning of that poem in the context of our social media realities, where we pour all our lives on the social media without thinking so much of the consequences. I'll take it again so that you make your comment. A child who cries for help at the market square must know that ghosts also buy and sell.
A child who cries for a child who cries for help at the market square must know that ghosts also buy and sell.
Yes, I wanted to comment on
it.
Yes, I wanted to comment on it. Bearing in mind the nature of social media realities, where we now pour all our lives on the social media out there, and without probably thinking of the consequences.
Oh, well, in the context, in that context, I see a child. Anyone can be a child. Myself, just anyone. Your humble self as well. Social media, putting different things, saying different things, because of the anonymity the social media grants us. So we do a lot of things without even thinking about the consequences. But social media, as much as it is very good for the public, for the publicity, it gives a lot of our projects and all that. It also has its own adverse effects. So you find different negative things as well. You find different people coming around to just dampen one's spirit. So as much as it has a positive side, it also has a negative side. So anyone going there needs to have that armor. There's that armor for both the positive and the negative, and that's where we have must know that the ghost also buy and sell.
Okay.
Buy and sell. Well, sad one.
Yeah, so because it's taken from the traditional context of the way we believe the market in traditional settings is set up. You are supposed to believe that not everyone that you find at the market is a human being, even though they all look like human beings. And when you take that marketplace as a microcosm of the world in which we live in, then the meaning of the poem hits harder.
During my poetry, Lit 10, was it Lit 102 class? One of the lecturers that took on that course, he already said something. He actually said something at that point that did not really resonate with me. It was later on that it did. And what is it? You have to read a poem multiple times to get close to what the author is trying to portray.
Yes, that's true. So that's where the poem comes from. Now, I want to read this one that sounds like a pushback on altruism and generosity, humanity, and philanthropy. Of course, it is in the habit of the postmodernist framework to reverse all traditional ideas, at least in creative ways, at least making us rethink certain traditionally held beliefs. This one is on altruism, giving, generosity, and all of that. It says, "Dear good Samaritan, you rescued your scourge." That's page 110. Page 110. It says, "Dear good Samaritan, you rescued your scourge. You saved your nemesis. You fed your predator when you found him in hunger trap. You praised your oppressor. You defended your most bitter critic. Now you cry an ocean of tears. Why?" Okay, so what do you have to say about that point? You can read it yourself and then you make your comments.
Well, in this sense, the poem is acknowledging the fact that goodness does not discriminate. It's acknowledging the fact that goodness does not discriminate. If I see someone suffering, I won't even ask whether the person, I won't even ask about the antecedent of the person, whether the person's evil deed is the very reason the person is in that that's current position. So I have to do the rescuing all the same. So it's a pushback on the concept of generosity. Well, I don't know if it's saying that we shouldn't be generous to even our supposed or our seeming enemy. I don't know whether that's what it is trying to say, but it is in a way saying that goodness knows no point anyway. So while rescuing a friend, you're also rescuing an enemy too.
Yes, when I was reading the poem, what came to my mind was how people normally get paid evil for the good that they have done. Okay, and
we only have a control. We only have control over what we can do. We don't have control over what others will do to us.
Yes, but it has got to a point where people are now careful because we are talking about societal reality here. It has got to a point where people are even careful about how they help people in society. But apart from that, the poem also has some its own politics. The poem has its own politics, which says that look, sometimes you even bring a disaster upon yourself consciously, because in certain situations you know that you were not supposed to do certain things in favor of someone, but you did that anyway, even when you were aware of the consequences. So then another level is human beings can consciously use their own hands deliberately to hurt themselves through some of the actions, which could be interpreted as an altruistic act in the first place. So that is my reading of the poem. All right, because even at the point when you're talking about politics, like some people usually know that this particular candidate will not be any good, but maybe because of certain sentiments and all of that, they do find themselves supporting them, only for them to learn the hard way at the end of the day. So all those things come to play in that point. Okay, so if you don't have any comments, I'll pass.
So I noticed the use of parallelism here in that same point. Parallelism. So do you have any stylistic input?
Let me see. That was 110. That's true. From the second line to the line before the penultimate line, it's just the repetition of the pronoun you, and you know, in literature usually signals the second person in narratives or in narrative viewpoint, but sometimes the use of the second person can even refer to the writer within context, and then or another person. So you there is poetic, because it speaks, it goes forward and goes backward, it points both ways, you know, and I think that's what it stands for. That's what it signals there. It can refer to the persona, the voice speaking the poem. It can also refer to the listener, the person being spoken to. And in the end, it plays the role of subject, right? It plays the role of subject because it occupies the subject position and carries out the action that are described in the poem. And it also presents a kind of accusational tone. It also presents accusational tone that is directed against the person who took those actions, which probably they thought was good, but in the end turns out to be the destruction. So that's what I have to say. So, and then I'll read one long poem. Then we are so much for short ones. Let me take. We don't have many short poems in the many long poems in the collection. But let me see whether there's one I can read. There was a poem I wanted to read on migration. Let's just hope I will find it. There was a poem I wanted to read on migration.
We go die there.
Yeah, we go there to die. Do you know the page where it
we
is?
go there to die.
Yeah, where is the page? What's the page number? I'm not.
Page 16.
16. Okay. 16. All right, you commented on this point when you were doing the review. It is part of the post-migration reality that we discussed today in African literature, where the migrant believes that the other side is so green, so beautiful, without really paying attention to or studying to know the dangers that lurk over there. But, you know, this is the poem that opens our eyes, like, no matter what you think you are going to gain, there's something that dies when you get there. And let's see the things that die. Okay? The poem says, the poem is titled, We Go There to Die. In this journey towards the glittering west, that brings us to mind that all that glitters is not gold. In this journey towards the glittering west, where your destiny fades with the setting sun, the willing slave has no certainty. In this voyage towards Lampedusa, where the devouring ocean awaits leaderless praise, the happy slaves are full of prospects. mirages from broken dreams. First, they kill your identity and then turn you into cultural half-castes, two-headed masquerades, one white, the other black, one white, the other black, two mouths, two tongues, two hearts, and two minds. Fed with Western snacks, your poetic vision turns snacky, at best sneaky. You chime for the imperialist and hail it home as an African song. In return for a few dollar crumbs, you mortgage the treasures of the continent. In return for ephemeral fame, you surrender the dreams of the black race. What's your excuse, sis? What's your excuse, bro? The dark dictator chased me across the Atlantic into becoming an ideological refugee and a multicultural mulatto, inclined so whitish and brutish. And when you have exhaustively been used, a racist bullet dumps you in the grave of historical oblivion. So that's the poem. So many lessons to be learned from that poem. But let me listen to what you have to say first.
Just like I echo earlier, the poem is a very powerful one, very powerful and captivating one. And the poet's personalized persistent description of those people involved in this migratory journey seems to tell us about the modern slavery they have to. These people being enshrouded in when they get to those countries. So in particular, we have the willing slave. So the willing slave contrasts the first slave of the Sahara and transatlantic slave trade. Then you have happy slaves. So that's the concept of happy slaves seems to say that these people they are even happy they are doing it. They are happy they are doing it. So in a country, or let's say in a continent where traveling to Europe is seen as Europe or any Western country is seen as an achievement, you have something like this. So I have never seen someone coming from America going to South Africa or Nigeria celebrating it online that he or she has been giving a visa to Nigeria or even elsewhere, but it is only in Africa that you find such a scenario. And the poet's persona here dismisses what would have been a valid thing for these people going there. When they go there, they say they are seeking asylum. The poet persona here dismisses this thing. He is basically saying that it is not an excuse to begin with. It's not an excuse to begin with. If you are saying our country is unlivable, it is our responsibility to make it livable. We can't leave it in the hands of people who continue to draw us back. And the kind of and it's still talking about this excuse which the poet persona dismisses. I think I find something similar in Ahmed Yerima's The Battlefield game, where his former students tell him that we have lost yesterday, we have today, and we are still back moving the people, but we have tomorrow. And he's saying that this African countries, we have to lead the continent. Nigeria in particular, if Nigeria has to lead the continent, it is imperative for its best minds to ensure that happens. So in this regard, the best minds have to stay in the country to get things back on track. So this poem is a very powerful one. And then it's, apart from the fact that it describes this set of new colonial migrants. It also shows the hardship they undergo, and then of course the ultimate end to this. And I also see this cultural clash. I don't know if the cultural clash rightly describes the concept the poet is trying to portray here. So the only thing I can liken it to is that personnel we have in Vanity by the Planeyo, who is neither here, who is neither there, who is neither no longer an African in the real sense of it, and there he is not accepted as one of them. So it's suffused with a lot of images. It is suffused with a lot of images. But in all information, it's the kind of poem that explored the Japa syndrome and why we as a people should stay back in our country to set it on the right track.
Yes, and especially when you look at what has happened in South Africa recently, your point is very cogent that yes, we need to be in the country to build our home identity first, so that if we leave to another country, it will not be because we are so desperate to survive elsewhere. All right, so that will be all for today. I would really like to thank you, Ridwan Adedeji, for your insightful review of the Afro Rococo, and for the insightful discussion, in-depth discussion. I really appreciate your deep knowledge of literature and its issues, especially as they concern Nigerian African literature and environment. We'll have course to bring you back to Planeyo Book Circle, and so that we can continue to learn from your wide knowledge. And I hope to hear more success stories about literature Paddy. And I asked Kende the same question, and I also hope that you publish yourself literature-wise to prominence, so that we can also sit back and discuss your poetry in a few months or a few years. And that's if not, And I would also like to ask you about what your hopes are, what your plans are in the next 5 to 10 years.
So should I answer that?
Briefly.
Okay, well, my dreams, I hope to build literary projects that cater for a lot of people. I think that's it. I want literature to be one of the biggest in Africa, in the whole of the African continent.
Okay. All right. So we say amen to your aspirations. And that will be all for Planeyo Book Circle today. Once again, thank you so very much, and have a very beautiful day.
I think so.
So that was Ridwan Adedeji joining us for the concluding part of the review that he has done on Afro Rococo by Ayortum. It has been a very rewarding session today, the 9th edition of Planeyo Book Circle, the June 2026 edition of Planeyo Book Circle. I must thank everyone who has joined us, especially Amaka Dike, Tuania Paris, and Dr. Emeka Nkuro, thank you so very much. You said, oh, Ayo, the reading is superb, reminding me of how Professor Lukeyo reads J.P. Clark, Bekedaruma. So thank you everyone who are for making Planeyo Book Circle a success today, and I wish you a very beautiful